Tell us a little bit about creating Flip My Funnel, as part of a startup.
It's not something that we planned like, hey, we're going to launch a company and create a movement and kind of figure out how we're going to do all these things. It really was important to kind of think about that we are a startup. We're trying to build a new category. On top of that, we're based in Atlanta. We're not in Silicon Valley.
Right.
All right. And we don't have like founders or anything like that who have done like 3 times over, right? How do you get your voice heard and people know that you actually have a real product? We learned very early on that having a great product is not the most important thing in the very early stages. Knowing the problem that we're solving and bringing people together that believe in that problem is way more important. And really start a movement where people who believe in challenging the status quo come together and talk about it in a way where it's not a product or vendor-centric, but it's more of the problem that we're solving. And that really started the movement and really got the people saying that, hey, we have that problem and we want to solve it. And we were able to say that, hey, by the way, we actually have a product that does solve that problem. But that's not how we went out and said, hey, we have a product, come buy from us. It was all about the problem, and Flip My Funnel really allowed us to talk about that problem.
So tell me a little bit more about what the problem is.
The problem is very, very scary. The problem for B2B, we talk about content marketing and everything that's happening around the world, especially in the marketing space, is all about how many leads you can generate every single day. And the scary stat is that less than 1% of the leads that marketers create turn into customers. I want to take a pause there, and for every marketer who might be listening to this, is almost saying to them that 99% of your efforts, your time, your energy, your resources that you're doing or you're creating are actually not driving revenue for the company. So that is a very scary thought, right? And I think this is the evolution that we have been in the last 20 years or so of really modern marketing as it kind of started to evolve from email marketing to content marketing to predictive and now to account-based marketing. People are creating more content and trying to get more leads. People are creating Game of Thrones and you get thousands of leads downloading it. Well, they are a Game of Thrones fan. They're not a fan of your product. So they're not translating into customers. And I think that's the problem. Creating great content doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the right customers.
Right.
And that's where the shift needs to happen.
So you've published a book. How is that going?
The book was another way to get out there in the marketplace to say, you know what, we actually wrote a book on the problem. It has interviews of 50 plus thought leaders in the space. They're way smarter than we are. And we wanted to make sure that this becomes the thesis for where the market needs to move in the next 5-10 years. But it's going great. And we're going through the Flip My Funnel conferences all around the country. We've done 5 of them. We're doing 4 more this year. And the book is going to be the blueprint that we give away at every single conference. So we're very excited about that.
How do you get the word out about it? Tell us a little bit about how did you step into the conference, into the book? How did that come about?
We wanted to find the influencers that really believed in the similar problem. And we brought them in at the first conference, and that's really brought in the right people into the conference. So we're not going buying list. We're not going trying to kind of generate tons of leads or anything like that. We're just trying to make sure that the room is packed with people who believe in that problem. And the way we know that is because the people who are speaking at the conferences have been talking about that problem. They never necessarily articulated in exactly the way we have been helping them to articulate. So they're excited because now they get a platform to talk about it. So because of that, we're able to get the right people in the conferences, and then we turn that into a live event online. So we have thousands of people attend all over the world, and that has really become the way we are getting the right people in the funnel, if you will.
In terms of your team, do you do everything in-house, or do you work with partners outside? How does that work?
It's a combination. We make sure that we are super agile, kind of in everything we do. We are trying to kind of figure out what's the right and the most important things to do. Right now, there are a lot of things that everybody's saying we should be doing pay-per-click, we should be doing tons more content that we're doing, and we're just not doing that. We're just doing any and everything we do, it has to be super awesome. It's not about putting too many things out there, it's about putting the things that actually matter, and how do we repurpose that and all that stuff. So we are really going after the right people and the right content that we can, and we're trying to have a good combination of internal people who can execute on some of those, that at least strategize it, and then for everything else, we're using external parties.
Do you have any advice for other startups who might be thinking about needing to create a movement or seeing that there is this opportunity?
Yeah.
Because we're all trying to change. We all have big ideas, right?
Right.
Any advice for startups in that space?
Building a category is extremely hard. Things that I think people need to get over very early on is that nobody cares about your product. And it's hard to say, hard to feel, hard to even consider people would think about it, because as founders, you think about like your product is your life, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're betting on. But nobody really cares about your product. What people care about is the problem that you're solving. And to change that narrative, I think the first couple of years are about building that tribe, that community that believe in that problem. If you really want to go big, you have to find if there's a community, or go figure out that this problem is as real as you think.
How do you do a conference on a budget?
We have probably spent next to nothing on any of the conference outside of our own time and energy on this thing. And the way we have done that is by just partnering up with all the people who are in the same space. What we did is, one, we first found influencers who actually can talk about this problem, people who will actually come and care. Nobody's gonna come and listen to us in saying, hey, we got this solution. Influencers was a big part of it. The second big part was finding all the different companies that actually are solving the same problem, but in a little bit different way. Making frenemies is super, super important in the process. And all of these people are actually sponsoring this conference. Like every time, like they're sponsoring the next 3 conferences right now. That's been great for us because they are one who obviously want to make sure that their name is out there, but it's hard to put a conference together. And since we're doing all the legwork for it, we are benefiting from all the relationships and things like that. They're benefiting from the fact that they just need to show up and kind of do their thing, and everybody wins, right? But we're doing the hard work of making sure that it's done right. The experience is amazing. The people are great. The whole process is really seamless, and these people really, really start loving the experience part of it. So because of that, I think what we're learning is, it's not only important to go out. If we just did it by ourselves, we probably wouldn't be as successful. But because we not only brought the right speakers in the community, but also brought in like 50 other companies to come and do this with us, it has really given us and made us an industry leader in the space.
As a marketer and a co-founder, did you have a role in driving the success with investors?
I think investors, especially in an early new category, want to understand and hear the passion, because there's nothing before that, right? They know that there's movement of some sort. They understand that this is a new category, and they see it, but you don't have like thousands of customers. It wasn't about how many customers we had. It was about, do you really believe in the problem that you're solving? I think a lot of the investment that we got is because they saw the flip my funnel movement. They saw that the entire industry is kind of backing these guys out, and they are just a startup in Atlanta. How is that happening? Why are these influencers actually coming and speaking at their conference at next to nothing cost? Like, what's happening and why are they attracting the right people? And I think the investors got attracted to the whole idea of like, well, these guys really know how to get their voices heard. And clearly the product that we had is awesome, and we don't talk about it. Even in this whole process, we didn't talk about the product, is because product is just one part of the whole puzzle. It is the problem. We are very crystal clear about the problem that we're solving, and we never take our eyes off that ball.
Do you have any other advice, any top tips for marketers who might be in a similar situation or growing their organization?
I think I need to just drill that in and as many people as I can. Nobody really cares about your product until you kind of make sure that you understand what people really care about is, or do you know the problem that you're solving? And if people can start talking about the problem as opposed to the product, I think they will get so much many more, the right kind of conversations going. And I think very few people do that. And it's sad in that sense. A lot of people are spending time talking about the product and not the problem. And I think that's where people can really start seeing success, and you can break through the noise.
So good to have you. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Brian.